There's a light in the evening, like the pink inward curve of a conch, untouched by the longing of night, in which the shapes of leaves and the tracks of worms lie, and the torn skin of the sycamore curls up, complete, like the dying smile of Ananda, holy, at ease, opening just slightly under the laborless singing of the sea. I wrote those words many years ago, on an evening I'm sure many of us have experienced, in which you become transparent, and everything is just perfect as it is, of a piece with the whole in its own unfolding, each thing utterly unencumbered, uncompelled in its being, and yet at that moment, as though it could not have been otherwise. There are many ways to talk about such moments, as moments of grace, as great fullness, as kensho or momentary disclosures of non-duality, in which the lightning shiver of time is no time, and all conditionality is the unconditioned. Such experiences seem to overflow with a sense of rightness and well-being, often changing lives in a moment. With practice, they can increase in frequency, or stabilize as new ways of being. For this special integral stage series, then, we want to pause and meditate a while on this notion of non-duality. It's a subtle term, elusive, long arcane, often misunderstood or misinterpreted, and yet now I feel increasingly important and needed. Non-duality, from the Sanskrit advaita, not two, points non-reductively to what is conventionally called oneness, but may also be described as non-separability, co-presence, many-one. It's an insight and often an experience that seems to preserve at once maximal union and maximal distinctness or particularity. A central feature of non-duality is the overcoming of seeming subject-object dualism, the sense of being a separate observer standing apart from the field of perception dissolves. In Hinduism, this seems to resolve into a substance view. Brahman alone is real, the one, and all appearance is inseparable from that. In Buddhism, it moves towards a modal view. There is no ground, subjective or otherwise. There are only momentary conditioned arisings, ultimately empty of self-existence. But as David Loy points out, these two options are, not surprisingly, also not two. To shrink to nothing, as in Buddhism, is to become everything, as many Buddhist poets have exclaimed. And to experience everything as one, the single substance, as in Hinduism, is again equivalent to nothing, though in a different sense, because a one without a second would not be able to experience itself. Phenomenologically, it would be as nothing. As we'll explore in this series, the fundamental non-dual insight is not limited to Buddhism or Hinduism. It shows up in multiple great world traditions, from Western Neoplatonic and Hermetic traditions to Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and so on. And importantly for our concerns on the integral stage, it plays a role not only in contemporary contemplative traditions, even post-metaphysical ones, but also in multiple leading philosophies, and even some emergent psychologies. Roy Bhaskar, for instance, following the logic of his critical realism to its end, was led inexorably to the necessity of non-duality as the underpinning of his whole ontology. And this helped turn him back to the spiritual traditions of his youth. The Heideggerian philosopher David Michael Levin explores in a series of books the development of our senses through many stages, flowering in each case, seeing, hearing, voice, touch, as non-dual modes of feeling and expression. Ken Wilber, of course, Edgar Morin, Peter Sloterdijk, Gilles Deleuze, Ian McGilchrist, Jacques Derrida, Stacey Alamo, Jean-Luc Nancy, Karen Barad, David Bohm, and many others, each approaches in his or her own way and to various degrees the value and transformative potential of non-dual understanding. For this series, then, I would like to assemble a garland or mala of statements on non-duality, a mandala of perspectives. We will avoid our usual long-form videos and instead will invite a series of short presentations. We are reaching out to spiritual teachers, long-term practitioners, psychotherapists, and anyone with insight to share on the nature of non-duality and its relevance to the issues of our time. So welcome. Join us for a deep dive into a topic about which there's nothing special, and yet so much to say.